We're live. That took some doing. That took some doing. Okay. Well, guys, if you're hearing me, we are live. I had to reline everything. We had to log in. We had to log out. And we had to redo everything. Just a normal standard evening Saturday night, setting up the studio. Okay, well, we are live now, that's good. Because I can actually see myself. There we go. So thanks for joining us all around the world. My name's Steve Francis. Hope you're going to enjoy the music. I've been playing about with a bit of OMD. Let's turn that down a bit. And I thought I'd have a go at Telegram. Now, Telegram's not an easy one because most of it's done with computers, which is not easy because I can't do all 4 or 5 things at once. But we'll set up a little bit of a track for OMD and Telegram. I hope you enjoy it. It's going to be tricky for me because I've got about 3 hands. And we're running on single field chords because it's the only way to do it. Okay, let me try and find it. Here we go. Let me go and show you what it's like. It's a tricky one, this is. Let's change the camera. Oops. Where's that one gone? I got that one. No, you look up where you've gone. I've got the light on, so we should be going. There she is, that's got it. Restart. Boot. Okay, so this is the things I've got to do. I've changed everything back to single finger chords. We've got to start here. Different sounds altogether. Different sounds. And we've got to change all the keys. So it goes here. Of course, OMD have a computer doing that for them. tricky. Wow, that took some doing. That was a tricky one, because that's basically done with all computers. Well, I ain't got sequencers and things like that. I'm doing this all real. I ain't got 3 or 4 keyboards doing the same thing. But the closest I could do that was with one finger touch by doing it that way. But you have to spread your hand here to get that effect. Then you come back down to. but they have a machine that does all that for them. It's a tricky one, I must admit. The only way I could do it is one finger chords. Because there's not really a chord for that. There ain't a chord for that. There's definitely ain't a chord for that one. Don't know what that is. C, D, E, F, hang on, C, D, G, E, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, H, there ain't a H, A, B, C, G, what the hell's after G? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, what is H? But don't do H. What the heck is that then? That's C, D, E, F, that's an F. I might be able to do an F on here, I think. And that means I've got to take that off and go into full 3 chords. A 3-finger chord system would be better for me, actually. Not, I mean 4-finger chords, because that's what I learned. Oh, where's the other one? C. So I've got that okay. How do you get that chord? To do something with this, because now the chords are coming into it. Work something out here. If I change that chord to that one. Yeah, that'll go. Hey, I got my own chords, that'll work. Well, they're sort of chords I've made up myself, let's see. Make it easy for myself, huh? Hang on. So if I move three fingers there, and then if I keep them down, and then I just move that middle finger up to the next one there, whatever that is. That sounds better. First bit right. Together really well, isn't it? So I'm making my own chords to fit the same as the OMD telegram, which I can work in 4/3/2 on a different sort of chord range. It's basically so they all blend together, really. Go for it then, you just see where we go. Okay, we lost the wow. Okay, well that was a challenge and a half. Somebody asked me to, can you do a telegram from the OMD? And I thought, oh God, that's not an easy one. I thought, it's got to be bloody computers. It's going to be computers, it's going to be a thing. Which it was all synchronised. So I had to learn that bit. But then I worked out my chord system would be better at blending instead of chording. So I did a chord system, so I do, what the heck's that? That's I don't know what that is. What's it say on there? This is a D minor. And then we go here, so we move that finger here onto there. Keep them down, but do that. It goes to an F. And then all I do is slide, keep that one there, and then just move that hand to there. So, and back to C. It's an A minor or something. And it fits there. So it goes there. Move that finger to there, so it goes. I mean, it's probably not the right chord, but then it gives that nice blend and it gives that bass out. And then of course we're going to C, so I've got to go back to is that an F? It's a G. I quite like that, the way I've done that, so I'm going to stick with that, I think so. Just like that. Mission accomplished. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. Yeah, so a little bit of OMD with, well, manual sequencer. Me. Manual sequencer. Oh dear. How are we going then? Oh, we got Joe on there. Hi there, Joe. Martin. Hey, Martin, how's it going? And Debbie. James, how's it going over in America? Hope you're all well there. So yeah, someone asked me to do a OMD. I like OMD, I must admit, that's pretty good. But I've never done that one before, and as you know, I only play by music, by ear. So I don't even know what any of these chords are. It's just writing it on here, apparently. So it's matched quite nicely, actually. I quite like that. So it's easy, really. I've got that one off between there. Okay, let's do some full range chord stuff. Full range chord, full range chord, full range chords. Could be anything. Let's see where we go. We'll bring it down a bit. We're going to do some chill out stuff, I think. So we're going to bring it right down to 100 beats per minute. That is really slow. That's cool. I like that. Let's do some blends here, shall we? soundtrack in there. Bit of a soundtrack. That's better. Well, we got pineapple and grapefruit, and that tastes nice. So there you go. Do you like that one? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Where's my girl?
I love it. You guys are so great.
Thank you very much. I thought you weren't going to get in there. Bing, bing, bing. Yeah, he's back and all. You let that seagull in.
Awesome!
Oh no. Well, there you go. You know, I can't really grumble. Okay, so yeah, a bit of OMD for a start there. That was cool. That was trying to learn all them flipping chords. Christ almighty. But I've got it now. Yeah. Well, I made my own, so that was easy enough. And the way I get all these special effects is I'm on full range chords now. Full range chords, basically, I can do a chord here. I can do a chord back here. Do one in the middle. Makes it really, really more bassy and gives it more depth and more strength, and it really brings everything down. Really nice. And of course, Casio, the first ones, brought these out. These are full range chords, and this is what Casio brought out. Then Technics took over Casio, so then basically they started with the full range chords. And it's a feature that not a lot of people use nowadays. I do, because I do a lot of stuff like Vangelis and that. It gives that more a depth sound, like, you know. You've only got to get a nice soundtrack like that together. Let's just see if we got another one in here somewhere. There's a squeaker. Put a harmony on it, and put a layer on it, put an ambient sound, and then we need the full range chords. We can use that one. Oh, that's got a different beat to it and all. Oh dear. I love this experimenting, because you could pick anything up in this sort of thing. It's pretty cool. Oh, that's interesting. And of course you can put a layer on it when you press the key down harder. It brings another sound in. We got them fans up there. Let's try and change that to something else. That don't sound too bad. Let's see what else we got. That's something different. Interesting. Well, I did an OMD one earlier before, so let's do another one. That means I've got to go into full range, so I've got to go back into finger chords. Well, that means the splits are here now. like that on full range chords. Fits. Yeah! OMD. Made of all ends, I think it was. And of course, obviously, if you go a little bit quicker, we can do the other one. There we go! That's the way I want to go. Further here, or there? I'm looking for my chords. do like the wah-wahs. Yeah, so a bit of the OMD there. I knew that would be asked for. So that's why we did it. There you go, guys. Let's do what we got there. Got everything here. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Oh, hello. Buttons everywhere. Dear me. So, what do my critics think of it? What do you think
about then? What do you think about it? I think that's alright. Yeah, I think that's good. You like that? I like it. Yeah, I like it. Okay, what do you like it?
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty good. Sounded good, nice and bassy. I think that was pretty good. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, sound nice.
Okay, let's get this one back to normal, shall we?
There you go. Is that the normal? Is that? Yeah, that's about normal, isn't it? Yeah. Buttons everywhere. This thing's got buttons everywhere. It's quite amazing. It's only about 30 quid it was, but it does loads of things. And you can even have 3 phones. You can Bluetooth them into this little gadget thing. Kind of weird, you know, with the technology that's moved now. I mean, I can put bass on. I can take bass off. I can put my volume on, volume low. There's all tricks here. You can put more bass on, more mid, more sounds at the back. You got all your effects here. You got all the voice change, karaoke effect, like hello. There you go. Oh, hang on. 1 2 1. 1 2 1 2 1 2. I don't know which one I'm on now. I'll keep it on that one, actually, because I can hear myself pretty good. Coming back from your headphones, okay? Yeah, that's okay. So anyway, guys, how you doing, guys? I hope you're well, and I'm playing with jigsaws at the moment. As you might have seen on the thing there, I've got some jigsaws out. They all come out in the old. I think I've got 30 or 50 of the damn things under the stairs, and they all come out about now. But you keep nice and warm and, you know, do a bit of the old jigsaws. We've got one done at the moment, which was easy, but the second one is a right pain in the arse. It's like a photo of Basil Allsort, so they're all the same, all the same pictures. Not really a lot to go on, but I'm working around the outside, and then I'll work my way in. I like that. Let's try different booze. Seem to be keeping the same beat at the moment. That's cool, isn't it? That's nice. What are we going to do like this? There you go, a little bit of a lively one there. Oh, thank you very much, thank you very much. Where's my girl?
I love it. You guys are so great.
I love it. I love it. Yes, it's quite cool, that device there. Okay, well, if you're liking this sort of stuff, check out BANDCAMP. That's where my stuff is. That's where all my stuff is. Everyone asks me, do you stream? Do you stream? No, I don't. Why don't you stream? Because it's a rip-off. Oh, right, okay. So and they look at you going out and go, how come it's a rip-off then? Well, I says, well, if I sell 40,000 streams, I will probably get 3 pence or £3 or something like that. If I sell an album, I get £9. And then basically that's £9 to me. So streaming, no, forget it. There's no way I'm streaming. But I will do. I will show you by changing cameras. There you go. If you go to Streamlabs and you have a look on the links, they all go to different places, but most of them go to this one. This one's called BANDCAMP. And you put all the albums on there. There's all my albums there. 32 albums I've got on there now. Some of my 432 relaxed stuff, and some of my, what else we got? Actually, if I change the camera, you'll probably be able to show you a bit better, because that camera's straight up the top. There you go. Modern technology holds it on this hand. There you go. So we got all the albums on there. We basically got anything from ABBA, whatever I felt like playing on the night. I know I recorded it on the night. 70s and 80s stuff there. We've got a bit of ABBA, a bit of Beatles, a bit of Beethoven, a bit of Tchaikovsky, all sorts of things, whatever I've decided to play on the night, I think. Rose's one there, that's the Valentine one, and then we've got ELO here, and John Vangelis, and Jean Major, some Christmassy ones, they come out every Christmas. And then there's another little link you can go to, and you can have a CD made exactly like this, or you can get an LP, one of the old vinyls, remember those? Well, look no further, I have 3,000 of them. There they are, all over there, look at that, 3,000, and they're all around here, and all around here. Being a DJ, everyone used to give you records, and I probably got loads of different styles and everything. That's why I've got them boxes there, so I can actually see. Hang on, let's go back. That's why I've got the boxes there, or the cases there. They're all got different genres. They start from 17th century, flipping Beethoven and Tchaikovsky over there, and then we got some classical stuff. Down here we've got the 70s and the 80s, and I've also got back in the 60s Elvis, original Elvis stuff down there, Pink Floyd, there's all the good stuff in that. Just over there I've got probably another 100 of 12-inch records, what they used to use at the old discos. All originals. I'm in the process of selling them off. I wasn't going to give £3,000 for 3,000 records, but that works out about £1 a piece, which is a bargain, but no one came forward, so now I'm selling them separately, and I'm actually getting a lot more money for them. Each one's going for £30 or £40 a piece, so it looks like we're going to have a nice little profit. It's going to take a long while, but we'll get there. We'll get it throughout every week. It's quite cool. Friendly with the postman, I know that. Keep him busy. Okay, what I'm going to do now is, through the magic of science, we've not got another camera, but I'm working on it. I have the ability now just to turn this one round. So if I bring this one out a bit, like, and I'll swivel that round over there, and then we look where we are, because this is mounted on the roof. Hang on, let's pop that a bit so I've got a bit more wire and cable. What's that looking like? That's not far off. It's not far off. Have a look, where are we? Bring him down a bit. Yeah, that looks not too bad. This is my Technics. So I've done the Casios. sound good for 30-year-old, don't they? No, 40-year-old they are, yeah. Came out in the 80s. A bit scoofed. They call me scoofed. Oh well, they'll be alright. There you go. So, yeah, this is a little bit modern. This one basically is a 90s keyboard, I suppose you call it. Or keyboard synthesizer, as we call them. That's either quiet or... Yeah, she's a little on the quiet side. Hang on, let's just do a little bit of tweaking on the mixer. So that's number 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the fourth one in line. Take them up a bit. Not too much. That should be the purple lead. That's the purple lead. There you go, that's a bit better, isn't it? There we go, Bossa Nova. Where's that? Cable's coming out. Get in. It's a little bit loud. Bring that down a bit. A little bit too high on that one, so bring the old clipping down a bit. Bring it down a bit. That's better. Okay. Nice little light bossa nova, as they call that one. I had one or two fans ask me what this keyboard is. This is a Technics. What basically this is a 30-year-old keyboard. I'm very lucky I picked this one up because it's like brand new, really, because it's been 20 years in a back of a box, in the back of I wouldn't say a studio, I think it was basically a shop actually. And it's one basically never got sold. There was about 6 of them, I think, and 5 of them went over the years. And this one never got sold. And someone rang me up and said, I've got an old keyboard that's like it's brand new, do you want it? And I said, well, I had the keyboard like this before. This is the 6000 series, and I had the 65, the silver one. But it started going silly on me and wrong and that, so I couldn't sort of get the bids for it. But luckily enough, it's cheaper now to go and buy a new keyboard. I picked this up for £300, and these came out at £2,000, I think, back in the 80s when they started. It was the 90s when they came out. I think all of them keyboards were about £2,000 at the time when they first came out. So yeah, we've got like a brand new keyboard here, and that's why it sounds like a brand new keyboard. And then of course you can do all sorts of things with it, press buttons and that. What else we got? Let's have a look. Got some memory stuff here. I've got 80. I can put panel memories in, so I can basically store 80 different songs, which is quite cool. And that was a bit of the old, what I was doing on there was a bit of OMD like. I'm working some new different chords, because obviously it's OMD do it all by keyboards and synthesizers and also sequencers. When you're playing a keyboard, you can't be a sequencer at the same time, so you have to work something else out. But luckily enough, I could put something together on that one. And then them chords, I quite like those. And then of course there's that one there. Bit of the electricity, isn't it? Yeah, on OMD. To make my own different chords there, or not actually the chords, more harmonies, built some harmonies to actually reflect on the sounds, to get the closest sounds that they would be on OMD. And yeah, I'm quite happy with that. They come together quite nice. Okay, we're on about Jean-Michel Jarre. He's touring at the moment. There's just him with a load of keyboards and on stage with a load of lights as normal, but not fireworks and things like that, I don't think. Watching him going around the world. And back at Houston, 1976, yeah, I was following him then. He lit up the city, and one of the last ones basically that we played, which they all get up and dance and everything like to. is this one. It's called Rendezvous Houston. Rendezvous Houston. A lot of my fans always want this one. So we'll do it. This is the Human. The Killers. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the night. We put two different combinations together there for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Check out my links, they're all on there, all the websites, all the links that's on Facebook, they all go to places. I've even got merchandise, you can see by my hat. It's even got a picture of me on there. 52 items on that one, check them all out. You can buy them online and they come straight to you. They're made in the factory straight away and shipped out all over the world. Getting some good feedback of a lot of people, they're enjoying the products. So check them out. Thank you very much for joining me. I've got my albums, got my records, and I've also got vinyls, if you fancy that. Check out all them links, they all go to different places, and you'll see what I mean. Anyway, thanks for joining us, it's been great. There is a star system if you want to do some tipping, that's a tipping thing. Some sort of thing at Facebook, I think it is. But hope you enjoy the music we put together. What I'm going to do now is, this will automatically be on Facebook, so I'll check it out and zip it straight over to YouTube and soup it out to all my other websites. Probably why I got 100,000 followers at the moment. Okay, take care guys. This is Thank You for the Music. There we go. I'm moving now. I'm moving to a different camera. There you go. Thanks for joining us, guys. I hope you had a fantastic time. We got Joe there, got Martin. Hey, Debbie's there. Antonio, how you doing, mate? Richard's in there, and James, all the way from America. Hope it's coming out pretty well to you guys, and you're enjoying the atmosphere I've got here. It's now coming up to 2 o'clock in the morning, so I think we're 5 hours in front of you, aren't we, James, if I remember right. So I hope you enjoyed it, bit of music, and all the usual tricks on here. Okay, where is she?
I love it. You guys are so great.
Thank you very much. And of course we got the committee.
Yes, that's pretty good. I like that one. Yes, that's nice.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. It's nice jigging it away, digging, jigging, a digging.
And yeah, it's nice. I like that. Thank you very much. Okay, heading back.
Just about getting used to all this special voices here and all these special effects we seem to have in life. Anyway, guys, it's been good. I'm going to zip this lot onto YouTube, and I will see you soon. So thanks for joining us. Check out all the other links, and if you want to put some stars my way, that'd be pretty cool. Thank you very much. It's just sort of a star system that they seem to give us professionals. It's a tipping thing, I think. I think what you do is you build up your stars, and then you just give them to different people. It's a weird way of doing it, isn't it? I don't know. But there again, we earn stars instead of money. Pretty good. I don't know. It's a bit of a laugh anyway. That's all it is. Anyway, take care. See you soon.